Each year, Microsoft Research hosts hundreds of influential speakers from around the world, including leading scientists, renowned experts in technology, book authors, and leading academics, and makes videos of these lectures freely available.
A little bit more about some of the collective action theory underlying the things that I'm going to talk about more anecdotally. And I've written a good bit informally, not in the academic press at this point, on things we've observed at conferences over the past couple of years in terms of back-channel use in shared public spaces, okay, as opposed to chats that are taking place over distributed spaces or other kinds of uses of IRC that bring people together. Because I think there's a very specific phenomenon happening when people in the room are at the same time talking to each other. And one of the things that Richard and I have talked about on this is the fact that it changes authority in a very destabilizing, very threatening way for a lot of people who are speaking. Okay? All of a sudden, I don't have the illusion of control. Okay? I never really had control, and anybody who's done any teaching knows this. I can't control your attention. Okay? I can control your physical environment to an extent, and for years at RIT, I made people close their screens, turn off their monitors, listen to me. Okay? And then I stopped, and it turns out that they learn just as much. It's all about whether or not I can command their attention. It's all about whether or not I'm telling them something that they want to hear. So I tend to come at this with a very optimistic view in terms of the benefits that this brings, in part because I hear so much negativity from people who experience it. And I hear words like exclusive, and I hear words like elitist, and I hear words like, losing attention, and instead of things, that I see as a very positive component to this. I don't have PowerPoints, by the way. But what I want to do in the position statement, what we mentioned, is this idea of seeing a couple of different modes of the back channel. Okay? First, one of the modes, and it's a very unusual one, and we saw it actually today. I was very happy. If you were on the back channel when Howard was talking, you got to see it. How much was going on in the back channel when Howard was talking? Nothing. Okay? And that's because when Howard gets up in front of a room, he takes command of the room. People enjoy listening to him talk. He didn't put any bullet points up on the screen. He used visual images that grabbed your attention. He knows how to work a room. He does this for a living, and he's a delight to watch. Okay? And there aren't a lot of people who can do that. And it's not realistic to expect that everybody who gets up in front of the room can do that. Okay? But then there's a next mode that you see, and it's what I've seen as the dominant mode of what's been happening at the symposium over the past 2 days, which is conversation around what's happening, around what's being talked about. Because this is a room full of really smart people who have things to say about this. Okay? The experts are not just in the front of the room here. This is not experts talking to lay people. This is experts talking to other experts. So everybody out there is thinking, hey, I have something to say about that. And yet we've got these jam-packed presentations. You've got 5 minutes, you got 5 minutes, you got 5 minutes. Nobody has time to ask their questions, to provide their comments. And so if you look at what's been happening over the past 2 days, there's been wonderful, rich discussions and annotations happening in that back channel, which serves as a vent for people who want to say something about this and probably aren't going to have a chance, before we move on to the next topic. Okay? And then there's a third not-so-good side. There's the totally off-topic, often a little bit snarky, focused more on getting the people in the room to giggle inappropriately. Okay? And that makes a lot of people mad, and I understand that. On the other hand, it's almost always a reflection of a presentation that's poorly targeted to the audience. Okay? You've lost your audience. Okay? So, what are your options? One option is to say, God damn it, I'm up here and I'm important and you should listen to me even if you're not interested in what I'm saying. And even if you don't like the way I'm presenting it. And another is to look at the back channel, which I wish I should really be doing right now, to see if people are saying, yeah, so anybody try the Cold Stone Creamery at this point? So snark, snark, snark. Now, this is an interesting fourth mode, okay? which is as soon as it goes up on the screen, it changes the tone entirely. It becomes a, hi mom, literally in this case, look at me kind of thing. Okay? And it also changes the attention. Okay? When you start to get used to using a tool like this, you get to the point where you know you can scroll back. If I hear something really interesting, I can focus on the presenter, knowing that on my screen I can scroll back and look at something else later. Okay? When it's up here, yeah. See? But look what this is doing. It changes the tone entirely. And I've seen this at every single conference where this has been done. Okay? That people say, oh, yeah, the back channel is great, we should project it. It almost always does significant damage to the level of quality that you see in the discussion. The discussion becomes about what people can see as opposed to a conversation among the participants. Okay? So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to put up your slides for you, which means the back channel will no longer be displayed.
I'm going to take a slightly different tack on this. We're going to come back to these issues. But because we... Oh,
yeah, hold on.
Right. Oh, well, right.
All right. You got to work your own slides.
Right.
You don't want me to answer that. Over there.
Over there?
Computer. Slides.
Thank you. I need my... Great. I'm going to take a slightly different tack in that because we're talking about collective action
I don't think it's on.
Opportunities for active hope.
Now it is.
All right. Is that working? Can't hit it. Yes? Thank you. Because we're doing something slightly different in the collective action panel, been talking about public goods as, and Howard's been following on from Howard. We're going to look at see how we can use and understand the concept of the back channel and where it might go. And we'll come back. I'll try and make this brief, and you're not going to get away with being a passive audience. Since it's back channel and the active audience, you're going to be talking fairly soon. So I'll keep this fairly brief. Wrong button. Yeah, come here. Right. So, yeah, back channels. They effectively, they afford the audience to collaborate to improve the understanding in live speech context, which is the second mode. That's our ideal mode in some respects if it's doing something. Now, it can bring in more brains, more bodies, experience, expertise. But effectively, if it's going to do this sort of thing, we have to have certain conditions for this to happen. We have to be able all to get onto IRC. We have to be able to have the social agreement that we will do this. People don't mind tapping and being distracted. In a classroom, some classroom context, laptops are banned. People don't want you doing this sort of thing. You can't go online. And in collective action, you effectively have some people who will claim you have a new technology, therefore the world will change. You get the digital utopians, those who are looking for direct democracy because the internet exists. Obviously, we know this isn't this is problematic. What we have, though, are opportunity holes. We have spaces where, in technology, a new technology, or a certain usability affordance, or indeed social norms, we are able to change the way we interact, change the power relations among us and audience. So the powerful and less powerful at the moment. I have the front, though you are currently undermining me on the back channel, I hope. Well, not too much. So we've got technological properties, which I put down some, and you can add some. I'm sure you'll be writing down some that I've missed or you disagree with, of the back channels. And social ones, norms, things that I may have got the category slightly wrong. But it's wireless. We could be wired in here. It's pretty instant. If it took 5 minutes, it wouldn't be a back channel. It's many-to-many, which is most important if you compare that with mobile phones. Like I should put that there as well, because mobile phones, you still don't have a place where you can all, in a much more mobile environment without laptops, where you can't actually, where you can actually talk to each other in a similar back channel. And we'll be talking later. I'm hoping that we can look at ways that we may see other affordances for that. Sorry?
Nothing.
Okay. Yes, I'm making up some words here, because yes, it can come to the front, and that causes something different. Okay, so there are, as I said, social proximity, you're close to each other. It's very different. If we weren't all in the same room, we'd have a different reaction in the back channel. It's actually quite an important part of it. It's optional, you don't have to come in. Non-interruptive, so I'm not being disturbed by you except for a bit of typing. So I'll leave these, I won't go through these for too long. And I'll go down to the next thing, which is, and we know, and we've talked about what we do on the back channel, where we're goofing off in different modes. Now, let me have a look. On the next slide, I'm going to have a quite, oh crikey, come here, quite a loose analogy. It's not exact, it's illustrative. And the reason of doing this is, oh, hello. I think that's just a mixed hexagon from previous time. Right. So, now, this is very loose. The technologists here, yes, it's not quite... This is the OSI 7-layer model, physical layer to application layer. I'm taking this just as a basis to show how people make layer mistakes, category mistakes, when they look at new technologies. Thank you, I'll be quite quick. At physical level, you've got the network. You have a network whereby control moves to the edges. You, as an individual on the internet, can control a lot of your environment. You can send messages. You're not reliant upon a certain central control. Now, the code level applications, I mean, to me, application as well, user applications here. So creating applications, writing things. So what geeks do, what you write, a level of control. If you have the knowledge to be able to understand and work in code and logical bits, that you can organize things at this level. You can make some control. The user level are the teenagers, the teenagers who make the applications on MySpace, for example. Okay, they know nothing about codes. They go to a website, they grab some code. They might have a friend who knows it, but they grab it, they plug it in, off they go. This is when you get to the emergent level whereby they don't need to be able to know, look underneath. Now, that is something which is a condition which needs to be provided, needs to be there for certain things to happen, for them to have control over their own interface, over what they're doing. Next level, the social norms level. We talk about the interface. Okay, so we've got the technology level, the two of these. We've got user levels, important, and we've got the norms, the questions which you talked about. In the classroom, there are some things you can't do. In the hall here, there are certain things I can't do. And on a political stage, there will be something else that we couldn't do. I will go very quickly through this. So, effectively, I'm looking at an open use architecture here. I'm suggesting that if you want your application, and the back channel is one of these, to have some kind of collective action effect, you're looking at tagging and other things, you need to give people control over that particular type of level. So users, ordinary people, if you want them to act on the back channel here, they need to be able to install the applications, have them and work them. Now, we all can. If you've got another bunch of people, they couldn't necessarily do it. You also need the social norms to be in place. And the more, if we want to allow in the future for more applications to be built in the political space. So I've got some examples here. You've got political stump meetings. You've got, I've lost my space here. You might have a politician's town hall. George Bush went to Germany. They didn't actually have the town halls that they were going to. You speak like that. There's a very good space for a back channel in a political sense. Conventions, and in local meetings, in your local councils, your community spaces there. Very important places whereby you have a place where you don't have people who have laptops. You don't have people who have this ability to connect and understand on the code enough. I mean, here we have actually a certain sort of user that can put together these applications and use them, but not everybody can. So you need to be able to, on the user level, open up the affordance, open up the applications that they are usable for everybody else. Now, it's fairly straightforward, but it's quite important when thinking about what we're doing on the back channel. Now, I'm going to go a bit further. So there's, we have these opportunity holes. If we fill in, if we open up the user level and have an application, we may not have the architecture at the bottom to be able to connect everybody. So not everybody's mobile phone network may allow them to connect in and join in the discussion at a political town hall meeting or the like. So there are the constraints, three constraints which we have: the technological, the social, and at the user level in the middle are quite important when thinking about this. I just want to bring out this and emphasize this sort of issue when we're looking at a potential for social action. Okay. Now, obviously, we're trying to encourage unfaithful users of technology. People talk about faithful use of technology, and the unfaithful use is being able to hack, being able to configure, being able to have control of what you do at the particular levels, both at the interface and at the social level, and then new forms of interaction may arise. We have one at the moment. Now, I'm going to come down to the theories, since I've got about half a minute. You people are a mixture. You're technologists, you're academics, you're social psychologists, you're sociologists. You have your own ideas of what is going on in this back channel and other back channels. You have experience of it. Now we want to open up and talk with you about what it is, what questions and what issues for rolling out more back channels in different spaces, and what's going on in our space here. So we want to ask what you have. I'm going to mention one. The elaboration likelihood model, central versus peripheral processing, for example. This is a very cognitive medium. We talk, we discuss. Okay, it means that you can only be persuaded by a good argument, according to the elaboration likelihood model of it's in communication theory. So this is one which I can take and apply to the back channel, and when designing a new interaction space, maybe I want to design a whole space for mobile interaction, then where we have a many-to-many mobile back channel on the smaller devices, so we can go out into the world and use them for not just our users, then perhaps I have to bear in mind that discursivity, the length of those messages. I'm going to go back up to these things. Important. Okay, so that's finished. So I'm going to go back up to these questions, these properties, and send it over to us, put the back channel on the front.
Well,
we're out of time. Oh, well, the back channel must have been talking then. Okay.
Maybe one quick question, or we could all follow up with Richard and Liz during the break, which is conveniently right now. Does anyone have a quick question?
Yes.
Do you think that do you have enough, I'm addressing this to both of you, now to have an effective mini course or like one lecture, 2 students on the effective use of the back channel? It seems to me, since they're going to be opening up their laptops and connecting anyway, is there a way to provide those who want to with some guidance on an effective way to add to what presumably they're paying for when they're in the classroom?
I'm already doing that. I did that this year in 2 of my classes. I specifically encouraged them to use an IRC channel, and I went through a discussion with them beforehand in terms of how I thought they could use it most effectively. I did not log the channel, and I did not participate in the channel. Because I couldn't do that and do my lecture and write on the board and all of that other stuff at the same time. And also because I wanted them to have a chance to talk to each other. I mean, these were freshmen. I had a feeling that my presence there would be much more intimidating than in a context like this, where we're peers there's less of that power relationship. I had a number of students tell me afterwards that they found it really helpful, that it was a way to ask for clarification in a way that they didn't feel comfortable doing in the physical confines of the room. I have no idea if there are also students who, saw it in a very different way, but since they had a choice as to whether or not to participate, and it's not as though the students wouldn't be in front of their computers anyways doing things in a studio lab environment, they didn't see it as disruptive. Nobody complained on the course evaluations.
Great. Let's thank Liz and Richard.
So this break actually an hour. And why we did that is so you guys
Always short of time.
one thing at a time. So that we have the demos in this room over here. So you guys can move around, wait for your coffee. Check out
A little short of time.
and
Always.
also, it turns out it's day for birthday today. Well, we're not
Bring it back into time.
Do I have to